the Delivering More platform, folks. We appreciate you consuming the content morning, afternoon, or evening, whenever you can. We're always here. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below. That's going to help out more than you could ever know. I have a couple amazing guests with me here today. Again, I have founder and head of strategy, Aaron Hoffman. Aaron, thank you for joining us.
What's going on? Thanks for having me, Ben. I appreciate it, man.
This will be a great reoccurring facet on the
I feel like you've gotten me on this show like the past a couple times. Like we've done one, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
hey, we're rocking.
They won yesterday. They won. I'm doing one today.
We're rocking and rolling now. And then our featured guest, I have Atul Sood, Chief Business Officer of Kitchen United. Atul, we really appreciate you for being here today, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah, great to be here. I'm looking forward to this conversation.
Awesome. Yeah, of course, we'll go over a little bit of some ghost kitchen, some dark kitchen action, and we'll get right into it. Excuse me. Whew.
Yeah, right.
Need some water. Throat's a little dry. I don't know what's going on there. I did just want to get a little bit of background on you, obviously. This is our first time meeting, you and I. You've met Aaron previously in the past, obviously. But just getting a little bit background of yourself. Are you initially from India? When did you come to America? All that good stuff.
Yeah, I am. I was born in India. I had a very fortunate childhood, actually. I was raised in 7 countries, all over primarily East Asia before I moved to the States for college. Been here now since 1994. I'm slightly excited and slightly ashamed to say it's my 25th year college reunion next year. So I went to school in Philly, but live in the Bay Area right now.
Amazing. Yeah, you mentioned going to school in Philly. U of Penn, Ivy League. Is the Ivy League all it's cracked up to be? My college history isn't exactly as pristine as most. So how was it for you?
Well, I will say it's all it's cracked up to be in that it is rigorous academically, which is my excuse for getting a 2.67 GPA. I was for some reason I decided to pursue engineering. I have demonstrated time and again that I'm not very good at that, so ended up doing the easy route and going into business development.
Perfect.
Ben, I graduated school I think with like a 2.3, so it's like that makes 2 of us in the 2.0, the 2-point club, man.
Yeah,
that's kind of funny.
Yeah, for sure. I did, and obviously your background in business, like you mentioned, you got into some business development things. I didn't mention. I saw on the LinkedIn you had a couple key points I just wanted to bring up in the profile a bit. Trilogy. You were in Austin, Texas for about 4 or 5 years. Mentioned it was the most enjoyable and inspiring experience of your work career. Everyone strives to create a culture that people love, and even after they've left the business, they still appreciate that experience. What did Trilogy do that made you feel that way after you'd still left?
Yeah, Trilogy was really a remarkable experience. I think we, by and large, all of us were young. We were in our early 20s. We grew to over 1,000 people in the heyday of the dot-com bubble. We were an enterprise software company at the time, not a dot-com, but we spun out a few dot-coms. And really what's been continuingly inspiring about Trilogy is that the alumni base has all gone on to do great things. There are a number of CEOs, a number of people who've taken their companies public, gotten them acquired, gone into venture capital. And they did a great job of both harnessing our potential at a young age, training us well, building a friendly, competitive, aggressive culture with heart. And, a lot of relationships formed after that. There are a bunch of Trilogy babies that are now in their early teens. And it's been great to be part of the alumni network. One of the things that I particularly appreciate is we as a group of alumni have done a good job of sticking together as we've grown in our careers. So we get together once every couple of years for reunions, and all stay in touch on LinkedIn and Facebook and whatnot. So if we can build the same type of continuing culture at Kitchen United, I'll be very proud. It seems like you folks have built that and deliver that, which is fantastic.
Yeah, I think culture is it's like 1A and 1B here. Our people are everything, right? I'm in a business. I'm sure you can speak on, great lengths about that. But culture for us, man, it's 1A and 1B.
Yeah, for sure. So something we focus on a lot, obviously, I would agree with too. And then continue down that line of thinking, again, something I found very interesting on the profile, Storyville. You noted it was a left turn and a kind of the most unusual path in your career. For me, I like a lot of writing aspects of some jobs, the reading aspect and things like that. Was that like a passion project for you, or why did you find yourself in that realm of things?
Yeah, thanks for asking about all of this, and thanks, Ben, for going into the details. That was more of a side gig hobby, but it was put together by a few people who were in the literary community. One was an editor and is still at Penguin Random House. One had been head of music at Warner Music, and then I was kind of supposedly the tech guy. So I helped build the app. And it was a super fun job, supporting writers who were publishing short stories. We were rated very highly in the App Store for the first couple of years of the App Store's existence. I got to read a lot for pleasure. It was built for mobile devices when they were still a newfangled thing, and it was super fun. I haven't followed a very traditional career. Done a lot of things. Happy that I've ended up in the restaurant industry. I can think of no better place to spend, hopefully, the last years of my career, maybe the mid years of my career and super glad that it's evolved this way. But how do you guys feel about being in the restaurant industry?
Man, I feel like we're in the driver industry. That's
Yeah.
but no, the restaurant industry, man, it's I think it's one of the most challenging ones out there because there's so many different variables that go into the ways to doing business, right? And I think we're going to get into that with like what even is a ghost kitchen, right? How does a ghost kitchen play a role in the food service industry on all levels for consumers, for operators, for vendors, for suppliers? I mean,
For
um,
drivers, right?
exactly. Yeah, drivers, right? How could I forget drivers?
Right.
you
Yeah.
know. So yeah, I mean the food service industry, restaurants in general, I think it's a very difficult business. I don't think it's as cut and dry as everyone makes it out to seem.
Yeah, my previous history though, my first job ever was as a dishwasher at Corky's over in
Oh, dude,
our up little plaza in our hometown here. So I mean, I've been in the restaurant industry. I've
you
been
worked at Papa Euros too,
yeah,
didn't you?
Papa Euros. I was a server. I've been a bartender throughout my career. I've worked in back of house at kitchens at Brony's courtside
Oh yeah,
at
that's
OU. So I mean, I've been in the restaurant industry my whole life, realistically. So for me, it's nothing's changed.
and for me, my first job was I was a sandwich artist at Subway. Shout out Subway.
I also
No
worked
free,
at
wait,
Subway.
no free ads, right?
We could throw.
All
it
right,
out there.
Subway's okay.
They
So, but yeah,
need the
I was
help. They need the help.
yeah,
For
yeah,
sure.
exactly. No, but yeah, I made sandwiches at Subway. That was my first job.
Yeah, unbelievable. But you did you kind of segued obviously right into your what I believe is your first delve into the food industry, which was your time with McDonald's, right? And you're kind of starting out with what maybe I'd call the biggest food brand in the world, maybe.
I think they are the biggest real estate company. I do know that,
Right.
right? They own the most
Yeah,
real estate in
they're,
the
they're
world.
the largest restaurant in the world.
I mean, they have to be.
For sure. And what was your time like with that? Obviously, because I mean, you're starting out with the most massive brand known over country after country, then going to a startup like Kitchen United. Is there any balance in going from such an established company to now a brand new startup?
It was a big shift. When you're at McDonald's, people call you back. When you're at a startup, sometimes they don't. Particularly one like Kitchen United, which is kind of launching an industry and not just a company. But McDonald's was a great experience. I have tremendous respect for everybody who works there, for what they've built, for the culture that they've built, for the impact that they have on people's lives. More people have their first job at McDonald's than any other company in the world, um, and that's saying something, right? It trains a lot of people for the workforce, and I had the good fortune of being trained by McDonald's in the restaurant industry. What I fell into, somewhat by accident, somewhat by choice, was I led food delivery partnerships first in the US and then globally around the world. And it was at the time that food delivery was just kicking off. So Grubhub was the leader. DoorDash was kind of operating out of a garage. Uber Eats didn't even exist yet. And I had the exciting responsibility for launching McDonald's food delivery partnerships in the U.S., in Australia, in Canada, and it was a fantastic experience. Going from there to Kitchen United was a change, but I've been an entrepreneur in the past, and McDonald's was one of my few big company roles, and so it was healthy for me and exciting to be back in the driver's seat of forming a company. I was the first employee at Kitchen United, and it's been a great run. So happy to get into what we do and what it means for the future of the restaurant industry.
For sure.
Yeah, I think before we even get into Kitchen United, which, I see the huge amount of value you guys bring as a business. And like you said, you're spearheading a sort of like a brand new industry
Right.
in the food service industry, right? It's like a little segment. But so before we even get into that, can you kind of just, like a lot of our audience is drivers out there, and they've probably never heard of these ghost kitchens or dark kitchens, or if they have, it's a very surface level. Can you give like a 30-second, 60-second, elevator pitch on like what is a ghost kitchen or dark kitchen?
Well, first of all, I've been a driver before as well. I spent some time driving for DoorDash just before I took on this role. Wanted to really understand the space from a driver perspective. So I know the challenges. I know the opportunities as well to have a flexible gig, to be able to make people happy by delivering them food. But when we launched Kitchen United, it was really amongst the very first ghost kitchens in this country. They'd existed in international locations before. But essentially, what we do is we aggregate multiple restaurants in one kitchen center. So you'll have 10 to 12 kitchen stalls. Each of them will be filled by one or several brands. Most of the brands will be restaurants that brands like Chick-fil-A, Panera Bread, Portillo's in the Midwest. Some will be local independent moms and pops as well. And then we make their food available for takeout, delivery, catering as well. And we generally, I think, avail of an opportunity to better apply your time as a driver. I know when I was a driver, I would often pick up food, drop it off, and then not necessarily know where to go back to pick up my next order. And the DoorDash app would give me a heat zone, and I would start driving towards that heat zone, and then I'd get redirected somewhere else. And that would you guys are laughing. You've had this experience.
It's like I can't imagine. I've heard this like a billion times. It's like, where's the orders at? Which you got to go over here, got over here. Basically, just sitting on an app waiting for orders, right?
Yeah, and then you start driving somewhere, and it'll redirect you somewhere else. So you've spent 8 minutes driving somewhere. You spend 8 minutes driving back to where you came from. You pick up an order. You've wasted 15 minutes of your time. And in this case, with Kitchen United, you generally know that there will be another order waiting for you if you just circle back. So it's kind of like an airport situation for drivers. You drop the food off, you circle back, there's another order or two. We do batching as well, and you go up. The other advantage to having multiple restaurants in one facility is that you, through our app or website, you can order multiple concepts at one time. So if I want barbecue and Ben, you want Chinese, we can get that on the same ticket, same driver. What that does is it increases our average ticket value to $58. Now you compare 58 to 27.28 from DoorDash, and you're making a lot more in tips. You're getting a $10 tip instead of a $5 tip.
So I'm gonna stop you real quick. So I'm a consumer right now, Aaron Hoffman, right? I live in Cleveland, Ohio, by the way. Say you guys are operating there. Am I ordering directly from Kitchen United? Am I going to the Kitchen United app or website, or am I going to a brand and then that brand is basically being facilitated at Kitchen United? Like, who am I ordering from?
You're doing it. You're doing whatever your heart desires. So if you want to order from the website directly, you can do that. Their website directly, Panera Bread, for example. If you want to order through Uber Eats or Grubhub, you can do that. If you want to order through us, you can do that. If you order through Kitchen United, and we'll be coming to Cleveland. We're not there yet. We're in Columbus. But if you order through Kitchen United, that's the only platform through which you can do the Chinese barbecue thing that I
Gotcha.
mentioned.
Yeah, like multiple concepts at one time. So basically, what you're saying is you guys are just really easy to do business with. If you're a
That's the
consumer,
hope. That's
yeah,
the hope.
exactly.
Hey, I hear you've built a company like that too, Aaron.
Yeah, well, we all have here. It's not just me, but
Yeah.
but yeah, we're trying. Yeah, same philosophy, right? We're trying to be, whether you use a marketplace, an online ordering company, a different form of an aggregator, or you want to use us directly. We want to be the same thing. Like we just want to be easy to do business with. Like if you need a delivery, we have drivers. So no matter which channel it's coming through, we still want to be able to support that. But
Yeah, and I'm so glad that you mentioned that there are potentially a lot of drivers listening to us riffraff here. I think their drivers are the most critical part of this ecosystem, and oftentimes the most underappreciated. And to have a delivery company that really appreciates the workforce that works for them, treats them well, compensates them well, and gives them career opportunities to grow is a necessary part of the system.
I don't think I could say that any better myself.
Yeah, I would agree wholeheartedly with everything that was said there.
Because Kitchen United, correct me if I'm wrong here, but you guys really don't exist the way you do right now without delivery drivers, right? You need delivery drivers for this model to work.
Yeah, like 70 to 80% of our business comes through delivery drivers. So
yeah,
so we need it, and equally importantly, we need our staff too. And we're fortunate we didn't close down for a day during the pandemic. Our GMs, AGMs, staff members kept the sites open. Obviously, your guys were busy during those years as well, and it's the we get to eat the food, but a lot of people do the work to get it there.
absolutely,
Unbelievable.
So there's a bevy of value propositions you can offer different users, right? For drivers, it sounds to me like it's logistically better, right? You can basically maximize your earnings by being more of a clear-cut way to pick up and drop off orders, either batching, like you said, or we call it stacking, by the way.
Okay.
Stacking deliveries, or like you make them just chronologically. You're not basically chasing the next order. You know where it's coming from. Customers, it sounds like you guys have that tackled. You can order directly from the restaurant,
multiple concepts,
third-party delivery apps through Kitchen United, probably everything under the sun. And then it sounds like also for the operators, we didn't talk about that. Why would a restaurant want to work with Kitchen United?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. And I think what's important about this is it applies almost equally to restaurants, big and small. When you open a new restaurant, it can cost between $1 million and $1.5 million. It can take between 12 and 18 months. And then you have the labor costs of running the shop. With us, and we have many case studies that reflect this, you can get going in under $30,000 in under 30 days. And that's a dramatic shift. If you're a growing brand that wants to expand your presence quickly and cost effectively, under $30,000 in under 30 days is unheard of. And then because we do a lot of back of house labor, so we don't cook the food, but we do cleaning, sanitization, we run the food, we man the front of house, we receive food product in the morning. We do a bunch of shared labor tasks, and you save about 50 points on labor costs. So when you bundle in the operating savings of labor costs and the CapEx savings and then the time to market, it's a no-brainer proposition. We just need to build more of these sites. I mean, we're thrilled to be building in the Midwest now. I think we'll be expanding in the Midwest next year, but we just need to build more of these sites.
To be very blunt about it and very honest, I'm not overly educated on Kitchen United. I'm obviously very aware of you guys, very aware of the brand and the business you guys have begun, but I'm all in at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like to me like you guys are just sort of like just removing a lot of the barriers to entry for these restaurateurs. Like, correct me if I'm wrong here, but like if you're looking to start a restaurant, this would maybe be like one of the easiest ways to do it, right? Is it's low capital, it's less time, less labor intensive, right? I mean, kind of why wouldn't you do it?
Yeah, one word of caution, and thank you for the endorsement. One word of caution I would have is to be successful in running a restaurant that primarily gets its revenue from delivery. Is you've got to be good at digital marketing, at understanding the nuances of the third-party apps, how to get the badges that they give out to increase your visibility, how to manage their advertising on their platform. They all make money off advertising on their platform now. You got to be good at your menu creation to make sure that the food quality holds up through a 10-minute drive. You got to be good at creativity in things like packaging and exciting the consumer, even with your brand. So it's not straightforward. We do have a customer success team that helps with all of that stuff. But you got to think it through. The last thing we want is for people who have a dream to think it's a no-brainer and to start up and then lose some money as they're trying. So I would endorse your optimism, but caution it with a little bit of it's still work.
Gotcha. Yes, we got to slow the roll a little bit here.
Yeah, I mean, we can always wheel it back a little bit.
We'll reel it in. Don't worry.
We'll keep the enthusiasm, though.
To keep our expectations at bay here, right? We talk about all the great things, and I think you just touched on a lot of the challenges. If you were to just to say, the top 3 challenges that you think the ghost kitchen ecosystem, has, what would it be? Is it marketing? Is it branding? Is just top 3?
I would say the number one challenge is does the model work for us, right? And we have been cautious about growth over the last 5 years. We've been in existence 5 years. We have 20 sites up and running. Now that's I think that's great for us. When you look at some of the other players out there, they had, I would say many more. Several of them have shut down a number of sites. And we wanted to make sure that the model worked before we expanded. So we started off in Pasadena. We launched a site in Chicago. We launched a site in Scottsdale and Austin. Chicago is a very different market than Scottsdale. We needed to make sure that those two markets worked. Were they dense enough? Were the right brands in the space? Were consumers more interested in ordering Chick-fil-A, or were they more interested in ordering Tikka Wala, which is an Indian restaurant in Scottsdale, right? Like, how does this work? And we learned a lot. We made some mistakes, and we spent some time making them. We burned some cash. We figured it out, though, and now we're expanding. Now we have a partnership with Kroger in the Midwest and other places, and we're ready to pull the blinders off and run. But it took us a little while to do that.
Yeah, I think realistically, you kind of walked us into the next topic we really did want to cover, which is your guys' growth and specifically, the partnership with Kroger. You're obviously partnering with a lot of what we would call like creator brands, like Beast Burger, things along those lines, some virtual brands. What are you guys seeing on your end that how are you navigating those partnerships, and are you reaching out to them, or are they reaching out to you?
Yeah, like I see Cleveland Clinic here. My wife works for University Hospitals. How did you guys get a partnership with the clinic? That's like a world renowned.
Well, he said they're not in Cleveland. It's on the website, so is that not live yet? It said at a Mixed Market Outpost in Cleveland, and I noticed the address was Cleveland Clinic. Yeah. I didn't know if it was actually there or not.
Yeah, it is. When I say we're not live in Cleveland, I mean we don't have a physical installation, meaning we don't have our own facility that we have built. We are applying our technology, Mixed Market, to servicing the needs of Cleveland Clinic, but it's not something where we are putting brands into the facility in any way. But we're growing in a couple of ways now. And the Cleveland Clinic example is a good one. we have developed technology over the last several years that allows for things like multi-concept ordering. So it's not straightforward, right? If the barbecue that I mentioned takes 20 minutes to fire a rack of ribs and the Chinese food takes 5 minutes, you don't want the Chinese food popping out in 5 minutes and getting cold while the barbecue gets cooked. So we've developed intelligent technology that says, hey, what if the line is backed up? What if there's a huge catering order for the
Yep.
barbecue and the line's backed up?
Yeah, because that
Um,
doesn't happen ever.
and maybe you need to gate the Chinese order by 30 minutes, right? So all of that intelligence is built into our platform, and other people are seeing value from it. So we've deployed the technology in Miami with RBI. RBI is the parent company of Burger King and Popeyes and Tim Hortons, and they're using it. We're going to be deploying it in several other installations next year as well. So technology is one part of our growth. Then another part is mixed market, which is technology based but allows for landlords and uh, group orders from places like the Cleveland Clinic. So when people are ordering different meals for lunch, if you've got an office of 25 people and I want Chinese for 5 and vegan food for 10. You can do that through Mixed Market. And then we're growing the Kroger partnership. We are live in 6 Krogers. We'll be opening a couple more in the Midwest in February. We are going to be expanding that pretty significantly. And we're going to be embarking on an initiative with another investor of ours, Circle K, in the next couple of months. So we've been really fortunate. We have good investors, Google Ventures from the tech side, RXR Realty from the real estate side, their largest Manhattan landholder, Fidelity from the financial side, Kroger and Circle K from kind of the retailer side.
Yeah, I know we have Kroger's here in Ohio. We have Circle
Yeah.
K. Do you guys have Kroger's in the West Coast? I know because
We have
Kroger's it's
a unit
massive.
of Kroger's called Ralph's in
Okay.
LA.
See, I told you. Dude,
And
cool.
if the the Albertsons Safeway deal goes through, there'll be
Yeah,
many
right.
more Kroger's
Yeah, it's
around.
like the Kroger is massive.
Yeah, massive. Well,
They own
yeah,
so many
too.
brands, man.
And yeah, growing up here, I thought it was a very localized
Yeah,
brand
same. And
too.
they're huge.
Yeah,
So-
They're
massive.
huge.
Yeah. All right. So that's pretty cool. All good stuff. You guys got your hand in a lot of different areas right now.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
I did want to say too. I'm very appreciative of what he was talking to about like the ticket times and lead times on
Yeah.
specific food items, because specifically on our platform, restaurant wait times is like a 50% metric on what we're receiving calls for to our hotline.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if you talk about, so we like log, we obviously track our orders like in real time, and there's so much data on them. But like one thing we track is like incidents, and out of our incidents, 83% are caused due to restaurant wait times, like where the food's not prepared on time, and as you're saying about, right? I mean, minutes make if you're minutes late on an order, that's going to screw up a delivery.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
Drivers will cancel the delivery and leave a lot.
Drivers
of times.
will leave.
Yeah.
Plus, you're doing the driver disservice. So I mean, yeah, for this to work, like you gotta have technology like that can get these orders. I mean, it's logistics, right? It's the most efficient way to move things from A to B.
for sure.
So,
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, as a driver, I hated showing up at a restaurant and waiting more than 3 minutes for the order to come out. It's burning time, and time is money for me, right? And then sometimes I would go and get ticketed outside by a overzealous parking enforcer while I was waiting at the restaurant, and that kills my daily earnings. So
yeah,
we're fanatical about that.
absolutely.
We're actually going to be launching. Speaking of that, the holy grail here is FIFO, first in, first out. So because you have volume coming through our sites, the next driver who shows up should get the next
Should get the
order
order.
that's there,
Yeah.
right?
That makes a lot of
Take it
sense.
to wherever it's going. That is what happens at in traditional taxi lines at airports or hotels or wherever. The passenger gets into the car and says where they're going. The bag of food should get into the car that's there and say where it's going. and that increases flow, reduces wait time, improves customer satisfaction because the food is hot. Um, and that's what we're going to be moving to next year.
That's awesome, and I think that is the right move for like an on-demand takeout type delivery. The industry we specialize in with predominantly catering, large orders via the white glove service type. I don't know if that would be the best case for the type of business we're doing. And since we're kind of talking about that, let's kind of talk about how ghost kitchens and catering play a part, right? Because you just said something really cool, how it's like first driver in, first driver out. Orders. Catering, it's different. It's different by nature. You need a different level of service, a different, a spec of a driver, right? You can't have a driver taking a catering order that's showing up in a t-shirt and sweatpants, going to deliver $600 of food to a boardroom full of, C-suite individuals. So like how, it's like a two-part question here is, how do ghost kitchens and catering mix? And two is the drivers that, operate within this area, how can they differentiate themselves in this delivery industry, right?
For sure. Great questions. And I think we are going to embrace the opportunity in catering more next year. That is a big strategic focus of ours. Opportunity in catering is great because it largely can keep the kitchen busy during off-peak times, right? You can produce the food between 10:30 and 11:30. You can get it out for delivery at 11:30. The kitchen tends to get busy at 11:30 with consumer orders. And then you make, we have a brand that we work with, Sood Mediterranean. They make 50% of their revenue before noon every day in catering orders. That would be great.
Another reason to do catering. Yeah, it's another reason.
Another reason to do catering. It just you can predict the volume. You can stock up product. You can keep your. It just so many good things come from catering. It is an area of the consumer demand world that I think more restaurants should focus on. I think it's coming back for office catering. I think group dinner catering is an under-leveraged opportunity for family gatherings and parties and whatnot. So all in on going into catering next year in a big way and providing that opportunity for our brands. Now, the delivery experience does need to be elevated, and that's why I'm such a fan of what you've built over the last 6-7 years and the service that you offer to the end customer. I think drivers in particular should be eager to receive the revenue opportunity for them, just the tips that they can generate off providing a higher level of service, the reliability of being able to schedule your day in advance because where you're going and what you'll need to do, and the ability to do that multiple times a week on a consistent basis, potentially to the same office. You build a relationship with the office manager. Maybe you can end up as a driver generating some demand, right, and make some
exactly. It's like you almost have like your own book of business in a way if you're a driver. If you're regular clients you're delivering to, they get to know you by name, and we see that with restaurants that we work with, right? Drivers, the gig economy, it's like they have the power, right? They get to pick and choose which deliveries they take, and what we see is our drivers pick and choose. The best ones, at least, they pick and choose which restaurants they run from regularly because they have a rapport with that, right? Or the same customers, right? So it's like there's a different level of driver, in my opinion, that is needed to do the catering opportunity. But it's like different level. It's the yin and the yang, though, right?
Right.
There's a much bigger opportunity for the driver, but also it's like there's way bigger expectations on that driver, right? You can't show up late. You can't you have to drop the food off and set it up. You got to look the part, right? So.
I think for me,
but it's not like. Sorry, go ahead, man.
I was just gonna say for me, it's like building the familiarity with the brand too. Like you said, as Kitchen United gets into catering, as you mentioned earlier, you're coming back to that hub, getting repeat deliveries. Well, if from 8 to 10 a.m., you can take breakfast deliveries from this Kitchen United hub, and then from 10 to 12, you can take catering deliveries and make a much more lucrative and price for your pocket. And then from 12 to 3 or 12 to 5, you take on-demand deliveries again from that same hub. Now you're building familiarity with that driver, that brand, that location, those customers. You're getting repeat business possibly, and it just kind of accentuates the ecosystem.
Yeah, absolutely. And in our situation, you can both do that, right? We just opened a site on Van Dam Street in Soho in New York. You can go pick up pop-up bagels at breakfast time every day, and deliver that to an office. Then you can come back early lunch. You can deliver Schnippers, which is an iconic New York brand. Um,
What a name.
It's
and
great.
the advantage is you can come back every day and do different deliveries. And then from the customer side of it, it's not dissimilar from customers walking into a restaurant and wanting to be seated with their favorite server. Or when I go get a haircut, I get a haircut from the same barber every time,
That's
right?
such a great analogy. That's a great way to put that.
Thank you. Yeah, it's not dissimilar from that. It's a customer service job. I mean, as much as the job itself can be logistics and setup, you're in customer service. Most of us are, and that's a way to increase how much money you take home every night.
Absolutely, man.
No doubt.
I think it is. It's again, we go back to the relationship side of running a business, right? It's all about relationships, right? It's how well we can, especially with partnerships too. It's like how well can you work together. So I think we're coming up on. We got probably about 8-10 more minutes.
Yeah. I mean, we can close it
And,
out here.
well,
yeah.
well, I got
get some trends.
I've got 2 more questions just to get on. I'll get on with, but yeah. So if we're talking, fast forward, say 2 years from now, 2025, what is this? What does delivery look like there? Is it predominantly you have these hubs where drivers are picking up and taking deliveries from? Is it still like the same model we see now where it's like you go into a brick and mortar, like a retail site? Like what does delivery look like in 25?
Well, I think catering is a bigger part of it. I think we're back from the pandemic. People are back in the offices and they are getting on a regular catering schedule at lunchtime. I think more people are aware of the opportunity for catering delivery at dinner time. I think the overall penetration of the ghost kitchen market, people have more sites in more cities, particularly expanding outside of the major metros to areas like Cleveland, Nashville, Charlotte. Um, I think all of that happens in the next 2 years. It happens more. In the next 5 years, it's commonplace. It just takes a while to build these sites. Although it's easy and cheap to move in, it's not easy and cheap to build for us. I think the CAGR of catering, of overall delivery grows. I think there's some consolidation, potentially further consolidation um, in the delivery players, the third parties. And then I think there's more first party delivery. More customers are more aware that restaurants prefer you to order directly through their app or website, and more do it because it's better for the restaurant, particularly for the local mom and pops. I think there's more adoption of platforms like Olo and Chow Now, and utilization of technologies like DoorDash Drive or Uber Direct, which allow for first party delivery. And I think that's the most important thing that needs to happen in order to best serve the operators.
Makes complete sense. I mean, pretty spot on.
Yeah, for me, I mean, obviously the direct to consumer is obviously always going to be a major battleground, especially for these brands as these third party delivery apps kind of took over during COVID.
Yeah, man, I hear that the third party delivery companies are just they're running a business, right? They solved a huge problem, whether we want to admit it or not. There is a place for them in this industry. There has to be. I mean, think about us 2 days ago, right? We used the new product from EasyCater called Relish,
Right.
and we never would have tried this brand here. I never even heard of Clean Eats here,
true.
in Canton, Ohio. We never would have tried that food ever. We happened to get it through their, through this product that they offer through EasyCater, and it was a great meal. And now we can go and actually try that food.
Yeah, I got a free smoothie coupon.
Yeah, exactly. So I think there is, although I definitely agree with you guys that it's best for the operator, right, to order direct. I still think these third-party, marketplaces and delivery apps, they're not going anywhere, right? Like they're not just gonna suddenly go out of business.
I agree with that.
No, and they shouldn't, right? They've created a lot of value to investors, to wage gig economy workers, to operators, and to consumers. I'm a frequent DoorDash user, and I love it.
Sa-
Um,
Same actually.
I've become more over the past few months.
I use Uber Eats because I have the Amex and you get the reward with it. But no, it's just like for me. It's like everyone harps that consumers are paying this. I'm like, I will pay for the convenience.
What are you willing to pay?
I will pay
for
the
it?
convenience because
exactly.
if I go out to eat, I'm having to pay. I'm having to tip a server. I'm probably buying a beer or two that's overpriced anyways. Right?
Paying for parking if you're in a lot of cities.
Yeah.
That's
exactly,
very
man.
true.
So it's like
Ballet.
it's not just one sided, right? There's two sides to this. So
Always.
But I think at the same time, I think they can do better, and they should be challenged to do better. And I think they want to do better. And I think competition makes everybody better. So there will be competition both from each other, right? Grubhub has this new deal with Amazon that's pretty interesting, um, and then competition driven by brands themselves. Big brands, McDonald's, Chick-fil-A, Burger King will be doing interesting things, I'm sure.
These brands are gonna, they're gonna have to try and compete with the marketplaces, or there will be basically just food sites that just make food and everyone orders the app. You know what I'm saying?
I had an idea. I'm sure this has been presented previously, but you mentioned like RBI earlier. They're obviously a holding company for multiple major brands. Why wouldn't those holding companies create their own delivery network and hire their own contracted drivers and then just filter their drivers through all of their brands on their own RBI app?
Do you want to take that one?
Yeah, I look, when I was at McDonald's, I floated an idea similar to that. And McDonald's is obviously not a holding company, but 80% of the population lives within 3 miles of McDonald's in this country.
I think we live in like 10 of them.
Yeah, it's insane.
And why couldn't it work for a brand that big? I don't think ideas like that are off the table. I think there will be continued evolution in the space, and I think it's a brilliant idea. Want to start a company?
Hey, if I'm more than if these three minds are the beginning of it, I'm all in.
Yeah. No, yeah, but just my gut check here is that it's probably the risk for these brands to do this. Like it's like McDonald's, they're in the business of making great food and hospitality, right? And I know delivery is a big part of that, but it might be like they don't want to take the risk with having a fleet of their own drivers, their own vehicles, taking on that risk. Like it's one of the biggest things we hear is that why brands don't want to have their own fleet of drivers is they don't want the risk of it. I've heard so many horror stories of, I'm not going to name the brands, but like a driver. There's a story I heard recently of a driver from an operator directly. They used to have drivers, and one of their drivers accidentally, wrecked their car, hit a surgeon. Surgeon couldn't work anymore for the rest of his life. So you're talking multi-million-dollar lawsuit, and for the majority of restaurants out there,
it's not feasible.
Maybe RBI is a bad example I'm using here, right? Because they're huge, but I would assume that restaurants just don't want they don't want to be in the delivery business, even though they're in the delivery business.
Yeah, but things. I agree with you, Aaron. I think that largely makes sense. And RBI, by the way, has more units than any other restaurant in the world. McDonald's has more than any other specific restaurant, but RBI, between Tim Hortons, Burger King, Popeyes, Firehouse Subs, has more individual stores under their umbrella. But things change, right? You saw McDonald's is doing a test with Krispy Kreme. It would have been the only product that has ever been sold out of McDonald's that isn't McDonald's is Coca-Cola. And now they're selling Krispy Kreme in a couple of stores, but things change, things evolve. Uber started as ride sharing. They're delivering food now and making more money off it than they're doing with ride sharing. So who knows what will happen in the future? You see big companies like Kroger and Albertsons making a lot of money on delivery through Instacart. They might evolve that as well. And so I wouldn't say the whole never say never thing. But is it likely in the next 2 to 5 years? Probably not.
It's likely not to go away in 2 to 5 years.
What's that?
Delivery. Delivery will be around. So people will still be ordering food.
For sure.
Right? They'll still be getting it delivered through one way or another. I keep hearing from back like delivery's going away. it's not good. People are. It's like it used to be a luxury. Now it's like it's a part of our. It's a part of how I get delivery once a week right now. I mean, I swear, and it's part of my routine. My wife and I's routine. So delivery is not going anywhere.
Yeah, I agree. But continuing down those line of thoughts too. Obviously, you kind of mentioned the next 2 to 5. Do you have any overall major trends you think will transpire over the next 5 to 10 maybe, or even 15 to 20 things that'll be taken in within the public that'll become similar, like we're talking about? Delivery became a necessity, not a luxury, over COVID, and then now has become a major standpoint within just the groups of people across the nation. So anything else like that you think, like these kitchen hubs? Will we see kitchen hubs for brands popping up? A lot of like Chipotle, they're doing the fast lanes now. Sweet Green opening a fast lane. Anything along those lines?
Yeah, so much exciting stuff's going to happen, man. And I'm so fortunate.
Yeah,
to be,
automation, robots, true. Yeah,
robots in the kitchen, absolutely. I talk to robot companies every week, several times a week. I've had 3 conversations this week with robot companies. Autonomous driving vehicles and sidewalk robots. Sidewalk robots are already a thing. Serve Robotics is an interesting company doing deliveries in LA and elsewhere. There's a self-driving car company, or it's, I think, currently operated by remote drivers, but called Faction. They're doing deliveries. So when you bring the cost of delivery down, that will be interesting. And I for drivers who are listening to this, I don't think that's a concern for 7 to 10 years. So it's a while out. But that will be interesting. Robotics is super interesting. New brands will be created. Look at Sweetgreen. They, over the last few years, have just grown like crazy. Dave's Hot Chicken was a tiny little Pasadena restaurant a few years ago. They've got 100 stores now. They've got to be one of the fastest growing brands. There's a new chicken brand coming out that's run by Shaquille O'Neal called Big Chicken.
Yeah, that's what I was about to mention. Yeah, shout out Shaq.
Yeah, I mean the food is
Diesel.
Fantastic. By the way, I've been to the Vegas outfit a couple of times.
Diesel.
So new brands will edge out the dominance that existing QSR players will have. And there are a lot of new brands like Mr. Beast being built for delivery, right? So you look at how fast that's popped up. Wow Bao, which is now available in kitchens across the country.
Yeah, we love Jeff here.
Oh, yeah? Yeah, Jeff's a good guy. You should get him to take you to dinner. He's a good host.
I already experienced it once. Don't worry. That was the most ridiculous dinner I've ever been at, in a good way, right?
Yeah,
went
exactly.
To Town Hearth down in Dallas.
Man, I've been there with him.
Man, was that wild! Yeah, man, was that wild!
Customer.
Yeah, I think we're having Jeff on here in a couple weeks.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah.
So
great. I'll make him listen to this before he comes on, so he can do as
yeah, give him a few pointers.
I think the best part about it was I had my business partner there with me, and he ordered a steak and didn't come out the right way the first time. He sent it back. He got it. John's gonna hate me for telling the story, but it's funny. But he gets it back a second time, and it's like completely butchered again. He sends it back, and Jeff's like, "Well, we hit the table minimum because of you, John. Thank you." And I was dying, man. I was just like, "Thanks, John."
Yeah.
But
yeah, I'm good. I'm good to wrap it up. But yeah, I mean, Atul, obviously we appreciate you coming on. The introduction between you and I has been great. Obviously,
really enjoyed. Just really enjoyed the conversation. I think there might be a reason to bring you back on in the future. Talk more about the ghost kitchens, and even talk more about how the drivers can expect, like in the future, right? Like what if they see these kitchen hubs, they know what they are now.
Yeah, how they're going to interact with them.
Exactly.
In the future, for
Exactly.
Sure.
Well, in the next year, I'm going to hit you guys up. I'd love to sign on to your driver network and spend a couple of days or a week doing deliveries and get a firsthand experience of how that goes, and would really genuinely love to do that. It's been great getting to know you guys, and I look forward to meeting next year in person.
Sounds great.
Yeah, we'd love to have you on the platform for
Sounds
sure.
Great.
That'd be great. Amazing.
Yes to all of the above.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, we appreciate it. We'll catch you very soon.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you.